Once the tape machine is cleaned and demagnetized, then you're ready to begin the alignment procedure itself. There are basically two parts: repro alignment and record alignment. The playback or repro alignment is done first. With a new session tape about to be used for the first time, the repro alignment is based on the tones of the MRL calibration tape. Subsequent alignments are made using tones recorded on the session tape itself at the end of that initial alignment procedure. For the initial alignment, the basic 1 kHz tone on the MRL alignment tape is played, and the repro level is adjusted. As I explained last time, if the tones on the alignment tape are at the same reference level you'll be using as the operating level for the session, then repro level will be set to 0 VU. If the tape's reference level is not a match for the session operating level, then you'll adjust repro level accordingly as per this chart. At this point, you might choose to perform a mechanical alignment step, setting the azimuth of the repro head. Azimuth is the left to right position of the head. Adjustment is to make sure that the tape is precisely perpendicular to the head as it passes, ensuring proper tape-to-head contact. This is especially important for multitrack formats. This may not need to be done for every session, but it should be performed periodically. If you are adjusting azimuth, here's how it's done. The outputs of the two outermost tracks of the tape machine are routed into the X and Y inputs of an oscilloscope to show relative phase. For a 24-track machine, tracks 2 and 23 might be preferable to avoid the potential slight frequency losses the actual outermost tracks, 1 and 24, are prone to. Play a 1K tone. If azimuth is correct, the scope will display a straight 45-degree line from lower left to upper right, as shown. If the display is elliptical or circular, adjust the azimuth screw pot on the repro head to achieve a 45-degree line. Check this with a 10K tone as well, until both tones produce the desired 45-degree line. Once the basic repro level is set, then you adjust the high-frequency repro level with the 10K tone. Again, you set the level to 0 VU if the MRL tape's reference level is the same as the chosen operating level for the session, or to the appropriate level, as per the chart, if the tape has a different reference level. There's one more repro level setting for low frequency, but this may be performed at the end of the procedure. Different heads exhibit different low frequency characteristics, and the full track format of the alignment tape may skew the reading, a phenomenon known as the fringing effect. So when performing the initial calibration with the MRL alignment tape, it's best to skip this adjustment and make it later, using a 100 Hz or 50 Hz tone recorded on the session tape itself. Subsequent alignments would be done with the tones already printed on the session tape, and in that case, it could be performed at this step. At this point, you'd remove the alignment tape and mount the session tape to make the bias and record head adjustments. These are done while recording tones from the console on the session tape and monitoring from the already aligned repro head. This is why the repro alignment needs to be done first. Make a preliminary adjustment of the record level to 0 VU while recording a 1K tone from the console on the session tape. If you're doing azimuth, set up the scope and make the same adjustments for the record head as you did for the repro head. The next step is to set the level of the bias frequency. Remember, I explained bias in an earlier video. A 10K tone is sent from the console oscillator to the tape machine on all channels. The bias level setting is made by first turning the bias level control down, counterclockwise, until the level drops a couple dB, and then up again, clockwise, to find the maximum peak reading. Then continue to turn it up past that peak reading until the level drops by the amount recommended for the ideal overbias setting for that tape machine and tape formulation. This recommendation, based on head gap and tape speed, would usually be found in the tape's specs. Typically, an overbias setting may correspond to around a drop of 1 to 3 dB or so below the maximum peak reading. Now, readjust the record level, again while recording a 1K tone from the console on the session tape and monitoring from the repro head. Since the repro head is already aligned to the desired session operating level, set record level to 0 VU. Record the 10K tone and adjust the high-frequency record level, again to 0 VU. Finally, record the 100 Hz or 50 Hz tone and adjust low-frequency repro level. For a multi-track recorder, you'll also need to switch the machine to sync mode and make the same level and EQ adjustments for the sync head Don't forget to set the recorder back to repro mode when you're done. When the alignment is finished, print the 1K, 10K, and 100 Hz tones on a small section, maybe 30 seconds or so, of the session tape itself, usually at the beginning. This section would typically be separated from the rest of the tape with leader tape. These will be used for subsequent alignments at later sessions that use that tape. This is especially important if the project moves from studio to studio and the tape is used on different machines. But even at the same studio, other projects booked in between sessions may realign the tape machine for a different tape, so alignments must still be performed for every subsequent session using the recorded tones on the session tape itself instead of the MRL alignment tape. It's important to annotate the tape box carefully with all the relevant information, including tape speed, format, a list of the tones at the head, and any and all other appropriate data. Next up, we'll start looking at working with tape.